What is happening, everyone? So I am back this week with 3 warming breakfast ideas. We have a vegetable and red potato hash, a quinoa and oat porridge, which is just so perfect for this weather right now. And I've also got a spinach and mushroom kind of shakshuka baked egg recipe, which is divine. If you enjoy my recipes and you'd like to get more inspiration, more ideas, you can head over to my website and go and check out all of my ebooks over there. If you asked me to pick my favorite recipe out of the 3 that I'm about to share with you, I honestly could not say. They are all very different. They all kind of cater to different moods. I would love to hear which one you will be trying out first in the comments. I am ready to get things going, get things flowing in the kitchen. I hope you are ready too. Let's jump straight into this week's first warming breakfast idea. Let's go. We're gonna kick things off with this highly requested recipe. I posted it on my Instagram stories in the week and I had so many requests. Yeah, I'm gonna share this full of flavor, savory, warming vegetable and red potato hash. I'm someone who prefers a savory and warm breakfast, so this just ticks all of the boxes. I like to pair mine with some scramble, but of course you can just work it any way you want to. For this recipe, we're gonna be needing some grounding potatoes. I like to use like a waxy variety, like a firm potato that doesn't kind of break easily, if you know what I mean. We're also gonna be needing some extra vegetables of choice. This might depend on what time of the year you're cooking this recipe. It might depend on what you have access to. As you can tell, I'm still clutching onto summer. We still have some summer produce available where I'm at, so I'm using red peppers and I'm gonna throw in a little bit of jalapeno as well for some spice. I'm going to be using some courgettes and I'm also going to be throwing some onions in there too. The vegetables other than the potatoes all kind of cook at the same time. You want to make sure that everything is in sync and everything, will cook at the same time. So to deepen the flavor, there are some other things that I like adding, such as garlic. I'm going to add a little bit of smoked paprika. I'm not the biggest fan of paprika, to be honest, but I do like a little bit of smoked paprika in a recipe like this. Just a little touch, just a little bit. The smoked paprika will fuse really well with cumin seeds, so I'm going to be adding some in, and I'm also going to be adding in some dried herbs. This is just a mixed herb blend that I'm going to be using. So to begin making our potato and vegetable hash, we are going to simply chop up our potatoes, bring some salted water to boil, place your cubed potatoes into the boiling water. So you want to cook your potato until it's actually cooked. You definitely don't want it falling apart though, so just make sure you keep an eye on it. So whilst your potatoes are boiling, you can prep your other vegetables. So chop up that courgette, and then I dice my red pepper into cubes also. I then chopped up my red onion. Then I finally chopped up the jalapeno and I sliced the garlic. Once the potatoes are cooked, you can give them a drain, rinse the water, and then heat a pan. I like to use a little bit of coconut oil in a pan and place your potatoes in. So season with some sea salt, some black pepper, throw in the cumin seeds, throw in that smoked paprika. I'm a little bit extra, so I wanted to throw in some garlic powder, so that's what I did. And I just began mixing everything. So when your potatoes start to get a slight golden tint to them, this is when you want to add in the rest of the ingredients. So start off by adding the garlic. I like to do it this way round so the garlic doesn't get burned. So yeah, I threw in the garlic, followed on by the jalapeno, just giving everything a mix. I then followed on by adding in the red onions, the courgettes, the red pepper, followed on by my blend of dried herbs. So such simple steps. From here, you want to cook everything down. So you want your courgettes to be cooked, your red peppers to be cooked, your red onions to be caramelized, that garlic aroma to be bursting through. Cook it down until, everything is smelling intense, everything is tasting absolutely delicious. You can adjust the seasoning if you want to, add something extra if you're called to. Give me this potato and vegetable hash right now when it's cold, those cold mornings, those cold afternoons when I'm eating my breakfast or brunch. This is just a perfect, beautiful, stunning recipe. This is such an effective way to highlight the humble potato. I can't get enough of this one, and I know I will be making it all autumn, all winter. Such a warming, delicious option. The next recipe is this quinoa and oat porridge. I've always loved this combination, and it's kind of made a comeback recently. I just can't get enough of it. The combination of both the oats and quinoa is so creamy. It almost resembles like a rice pudding. It has like a rice pudding type feel. To top this creamy decadent porridge, we are going to make some stewed ginger and cinnamon apples. I love warming tones, warming feels, warming foods this time of year. These melt in the mouth stewed apples are seriously the best thing, the best thing. For this incredible recipe, we are going to be needing apples. Right now, where I live, apples are in abundance. I am seeing so many different varieties pop up. Give me a real tasting apple and I am one happy woman. So as I mentioned, we're going to be spicing these apples up, and we're also going to be flavoring up our porridge too. And for that, we're going to use lots and lots and lots of cinnamon. You could definitely add nutmeg if you have some. If you have like an apple spice blend that's already made for you, yeah, throw it in. It will be delicious. Not only for the taste, but also for the medicinal properties. I'm going to grate some ginger onto these warming stewed apples, and it's just going to elevate these apples. It's going to take them to the next level. The oats in this recipe, they play a role in giving this porridge the depth and the creaminess that we want. They kind of bind everything together. I'm not one for like just a plain quinoa porridge. I find it a little bit too kind of liquidy, but then the quinoa gives it that extra texture. And when the two combine, I just think it's like the perfect marriage. I will usually make this porridge when I have some quinoa left over. It's one of those things that I kind of usually cook up in like a big batch if I'm going to cook it, and just kind of store it away. This is just an example of a recipe that I'll use some already prepped cooked quinoa in. I love using full fat coconut milk, not any of those coconut milks with like fillers and everything, just full fat coconut milk. I think it works the best. If you want a little added extra sweetness, you can go ahead and add whatever sweetener you like. So you can add maple syrup. I love using a little bit of raw honey. To top the porridge along with the stewed apples, I love adding some coconut yogurt and maybe some pumpkin seeds or nuts or whatever I have. I like soaking my oats. You know, I soak everything. They're just easier to digest. And also I think it just makes the texture a lot creamier as well. So I place my soaked oats into a pan, followed on by my cooked quinoa. I kind of just do like half and half. And then I place in some cinnamon powder. I pour over that coconut milk. You could definitely do half coconut milk, half water. As I'm cooking the porridge, I usually gradually just add a little touch of water step by step, just to kind of like get it to my desired consistency. I don't really like a thick porridge. I kind of like it in between. Simply stir the porridge. You can add a cinnamon stick. You can also add in a sweetener of choice. I placed in a tiny touch of raw honey. Just cook everything down. Reduce the heat, just keeping an eye on the pan. In the meantime, we are going to do some chopping so we can make our stewed ginger and cinnamon apples. So chop up your apples into cubes, whatever size you like, small, big, whatever suits you best. So heat a pan on a medium to high heat and place in a little bit of coconut oil. Just simply place in your apples, scatter over your cinnamon powder, just keeping everything moving in that pan, and then go ahead and grate in some fresh ginger. That's of course if you want to add ginger. I'm sure it's not for everybody in this recipe, but yeah, if you're a ginger lover and you want to add it just for its extra warming tones and extra warming yumminess, then go ahead and grate that in, just continuing to move everything in that pan. Make sure the porridge is your desired consistency and you can go ahead and serve this wondrous breakfast porridge up. Oh my goodness, I just love it. This beautiful recipe just warms my heart in every way. So a little thing to know, I absolutely adore porridge. I love it. I think it's great. But it doesn't always feel good, or it hasn't always felt good. So recently I've been eating porridge, but beforehand I will have, say, like something like an egg and some greens. I feel satiated for longer. Whereas when I used to eat porridge by itself, it didn't always feel like that. There's a great page that I follow on Instagram. It's the handle Glucose Goddess, and she just provides so much information about this. So yeah, I would definitely recommend going to check her out. If you've never tried the combination of quinoa and oats, I really suggest you give it a try. I can assure you, you are going to love this one. The final recipe is this dukkah spiced mushroom and spinach. You can call it a shakshuka, you can call it baked eggs, you can call it what you want, but all I know is that this recipe is everything. This is my go-to style of recipe on a Saturday morning when I come back from the farmer's market and I have the freshest eggs and I just crack them into a pan and I just let the food work its magic and just blow my mind. This is a good one. For this recipe, we're going to need some lush greens. You could use spinach, you could use chard, you could use kale. You can just switch things up. Whatever greens that you have that are available, throw them in, whack them in that pan. So yeah, I'm going to be using some big leaf spinach. I'm also going to be using some chestnut mushrooms. Again, work with whatever variety of mushrooms you have. I know oyster mushrooms would work so well in this. I'm using some shallots. Of course, you could use red onions, white onions, and then we're going to add in also a little bit of garlic as well. I've mentioned to you before about my love for dukkah, which is like a spice blend. You can get so many different styles of dukkah. This one that I'm using is a blend of coriander seeds, cumin seeds, fennel seeds, garlic, mint, parsley, like with a few other things added. If you don't have a dukkah spice blend, do not panic, do not worry. Maybe just sub for some other different types of dried herbs and just work with what you've got. So we're going to need some good tasting, some bright yolked eggs for this recipe, some fresh parsley just to tie everything together once everything is cooked. You could use dill, you could use basil or any other type of fresh herb that you love. So we're going to begin by chopping the ends of our shallot, peeling it, and then I just like to chop it into kind of like ring-like shapes like this, like fine kind of circles, ring-like shapes, something like that. Go ahead and chop up your garlic. You can finely mince it if you want, or you can kind of chop it like I have. Continue by chopping up those mushrooms. And then go ahead and finely chop up whatever greens you're using. If you're using baby spinach, then you could totally skip this step. You don't need to chop up the baby spinach. No, you don't need to do that. So grab a pan, heat it on a medium heat, drizzle in a touch of olive oil, and then go ahead and begin by throwing in your mushroom. Mushrooms need attention, they need seasoning straight away. So we're gonna place in a little bit of salt and then we're gonna splash in a little bit of tamari. This is going to brighten these mushrooms up. We want to get those flavors going. Of course, we're going to add in some black pepper. After a few minutes, go ahead and throw in the shallots and the garlic, just moving that pan, keeping that pan moving. Place in that dukkah blend. Adjust the seasoning. If you need some more black pepper, go ahead, throw it in, season at every stage. We're going to go ahead and stir in our finely chopped greens. We're going to crack our eggs in. So yeah, simply go ahead, crack your eggs into these spaces, place on a little bit more black pepper. There are two options. You could simply cover your pan for a few minutes until the eggs are cooked, or you could place the pan into the oven. This is what I like to do. So remove your mushroom and spinach, baked eggs, shakshuka. Go ahead and scatter over some parsley if you want. You could definitely throw over some fresh tomatoes, and yeah, just serve this up. I love this breakfast recipe. This is filling, this is satiating. Like I said, it's my go-to on a Saturday morning. I just adore this one. Let me know which recipe catches your eye. I would love to hear which one you'll be trying out first. Tag me over on my Instagram. I will see you in my next video.